And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host Kenneth Grunfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Wednesday, July 10th. We have a lot to talk about on the show today. Before I get into that, just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate, get your comments recognized, make sure to go to the following link, that is gsmcpodcast.net. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is gsmcpodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker at the bottom of the show segment down below. So let's get into what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to start off the show, talk about CeeDee Lamb and the Dallas Cowboys. Just, a little bit of an update on his contract situation. Him talking about contract negotiations. Well, him not wanting to talk about contract negotiations. So I wanted to get into that, give you my thoughts. Then we will continue our schedule breakdowns. This is the second to last team that I will be covering. Today we will be going over the Raiders' schedule. So I'll give you my early win-loss predictions for them. Then in the third part of the show, we'll talk about Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins. Justin Jefferson's comments on Kirk Cousins leaving to sign that contract with the Atlanta Falcons. Then in the fourth part of the show, we'll talk about Steven Sims of the Houston Texans, his comments on the receiving core of the Houston Texans. So I'll get into that. And then in the final part of the show, we'll talk about Carson Wentz, being the backup quarterback now on the Kansas City Chiefs, backing up Patrick Mahomes, and what he has to say on that. So that's what we're covering today. Let's get into the first topic now, which is talking about the Dallas Cowboys, talking about CeeDee Lamb, and a little bit of Dak Prescott as well. So CeeDee Lamb will not address contract negotiations. He's during his youth football camps this week. Dak Prescott mentioned at his pro camps that he has thrown with Lamb frequently this offseason and plans for more work before training camp. And Dak feels confident that CeeDee Lamb is going to show up when it's time, even with the contract negotiations still going on. And yeah, Dak has said that they've thrown a good amount this offseason. He said that CeeDee Lamb is going to be ready. A player like that, an athlete like that, he makes my job easier. Trust me, we'll just be fine. So there doesn't really seem to be any concern with Dak, at least from his comments publicly that that CeeDee Lamb is not going to show up. But there are some rumblings that maybe he holds out until he gets a new deal, because we've seen a ton of receivers get paid this offseason, and CeeDee Lamb wants to be a part of that conversation and get a new deal. I know we've talked about Brandon Ayuk a bunch of times. CeeDee Lamb's another receiver that, coming off of his best season, he does deserve a new deal. He deserves, Justin Jefferson type money. So we'll see how that plays out. But this is where we're at right now. He doesn't want to talk about contract negotiations at the moment. And yeah, he's going to be the guy that gets paid out of the big three, because we know Micah Parsons at some point, he's going to want a new deal. Dak Prescott, I'm really interested to see how that all plays out, because right now I would lean towards Dak not coming back to Dallas the way it's looking. And what the alternative is going to be remains to be seen if they do move on from Dak. It could be Trey Lance. I've said that, and I think other people are probably saying the same thing, but it still remains to be seen. And I think the Cowboys, they want everybody back, but who knows if they're going to be able to keep everybody, because their cap situation's not the best, but these are their star players. And CeeDee Lamb is one of the best receivers in the NFL. Last year, again, had his career year, so he deserves to get paid a ton of money. But now it's what's going to happen with their quarterback. That's really what like I said, what I'm interested to see. Is Dak going to be there? Are they going to give him another contract, or is he going to walk? Because I talked about some of the other destinations or possible destinations he could end up on. I know the Raiders are a team that maybe they could pursue him. You also have the Dolphins maybe if the Dolphins end up not bringing back Tua, even though Dak's going to cost more than Tua. It's really it's interesting, but they look like they're prioritizing CeeDee Lamb right now over Dak. But we're still waiting on them giving CeeDee Lamb a new deal. But like right now, he'd be playing under the 5th-year option. Right now he's about to make about. Right now he's set to make about $18 million in his 5th-year option, and he's eligible for the franchise tag in 2025. So that could be an option on the table, but I think they're going to get a new deal done. And we don't really know how close they are to coming to an agreement. Right now it doesn't seem like they're close at all. But they're going to get a deal done. I have more confidence in the Cowboys getting a deal done with CeeDee Lamb than I do the 49ers and Brandon Ayuk. At least because that's just, because all these social media posts that Ayuk is, coming out with, it doesn't seem like things are going in the right direction. Right now, I don't really know what direction the Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb are going in, but right now it just seems like, the Niners and Ayuk, they're far apart. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't come together and finally agree upon something, because Ayuk, his number one option is to stay with the 49ers. And if he can't do that, he's going to want to go somewhere else. So, when it comes to the Cowboys, with their 3 stars, they're going to keep at least 2 of the 3. Micah Parsons, like I said, he is a little bit away from getting his new deal. The Cowboys are focused on, CeeDee Lamb and Dak, if they want to bring Dak back. Then once they get to that point where they have to give Micah Parsons a new deal, he's going to get one. For me, it's just this whole offseason, the way things have been unfolding, it kind of just seems like Dak is on his way out. I don't know, but I could be wrong. I'm not close to the situation, so I don't really know. But that's just the way things look. He's going to be playing elsewhere in 2025. But the quote that I read in the article that I had, CeeDee Lamb is a big part of what he does. And you take him out, the Cowboys' offense is going to suffer because of it. Your number one option then, if you don't have CeeDee Lamb, is Brandon Cooks. Now, Brandon Cooks is a nice receiver, but, Brandon Cooks right now, he's, a number 2, number 3 wide receiver. He's not that number 1 anymore. He used to be, but, I think his best days are behind him. But that does not, I'm not saying that he's washed, anything like that. It's just, that's just how it is right now. He's a number 2 or a number 3. That's really what he is at this point. But still a solid receiver. Played well for the Cowboys last year. But that's just who he is. And after Brandon Cooks, there's question marks. Yeah, you got Jacob Ferguson at the tight end spot. But you got question marks there. You got question marks coming out of your backfield. CeeDee Lamb is very important. And Cowboys got to make sure that, he's taken care of and that he's playing day one. Because, if he's not playing, guys are going to have to step up. And I don't know who is going to do that. They don't have Michael Gallup anymore, even though Michael Gallup really... he kind of became that forgotten man. He was like the number 3, number 4 option in the offense for a couple years now. So now he's with the Raiders. So, maybe him and Dak reunite if Dak goes there next year. But yeah, it's just that's I think one of the concerns I think some people have with the Cowboys is their depth. So, but CeeDee Lamb, we have no idea. He's not going to miss any games. I don't think he is. They're going to figure something out. But, if the Cowboys don't have him for any, at any point, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem for this offense because he, again, had a career year last year. He's the best player on offense other than the quarterback. You know, whether you think Dak's the best player or you think CeeDee Lamb is the best player on the offense. I mean, you know, that's a debate to be had. But if the Cowboys don't have him, it'd be a problem. So we'll see how this unfolds. Again, you guys are probably sick of us just talking about CeeDee Lamb. We're waiting on a new deal for him. Brandon Ayuk. Some of the other quarterbacks. It's just that's where we're at right now. We are about 3 weeks and a day from the first preseason game being played between the Texans and the Bears. And believe me, I am really counting down the days because I feel like I've just been repetitive with all this stuff. So, but when it comes to this first topic, I mean, I think CeeDee Lamb, he'll be with the Cowboys long term. It's really going to be Dak that I'm curious to see how that all plays out. Because right now, probably not going to be on the team. That's my first thought. Is he's going to go somewhere else, get paid? Because, a team is going to pay a lot of money to get him if he's available. It's just, is that going to end up happening? I mean, Dak has talked about he's willing to test free agency. So, we'll see how that all unfolds. But right now, I mean, there's no official news. It's just, CeeDee Lamb coming out and saying he doesn't want to talk about contract negotiations. So, but I think, for me, I think a deal will get done and he'll be squared away. Then it's just, all right, well, what do you do with Dak? And they could focus on Micah Parsons as well. So, that's pretty much it when talking about this topic. Let me know what you guys think with the CeeDee Lamb situation. When do you think he's going to get a new deal? Let me know. So we are going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, we will discuss, oddly enough, the Raiders' schedule. We'll get into that. I'll give you my early win-loss predictions for them. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.